ladies and gentlemen, Angelenos, welcome to the regular meeting of Los Angeles City Council's Planning and Land Use Management Committee. I'm your chair for this committee. My name is Marquise Harris Dawson. I serve as a council member for the 8th District. We're joined by the council member from the 12th District, Mr. John Lee, and the council member from the 9th District, Mr. Curran Price. Like we do every meeting, we'll begin our meeting with folks who've signed up for general public comment. You'll have 1 minute to speak on any item, any issue that this committee has jurisdiction over. I do not see any names on the general public comment queue, so with that, general public comment is closed. We have members, one item that I'm recommending that we take on consent. It's item number 2. If there's no objection, that'll be the order, Mr. Mejia. And that moves us to item number 3, where there is a request to continue this item for 10 days. All right, that takes us to item number 4. There's a request to continue. Excuse me, so we'll amend that last item number 3. The request is to amend that item to a date to be determined. And then item number 4 is a request to continue to March 17, 2020, without objection. Well, welcome our Vice Chair, Mr. Bob Blumenfeld, 3rd Council District. Item number 5, there's a request to continue that item to February 25, 2020. We will continue for 7 days, item number 1. And that leaves us with item number 6.
Yes, Councilman. On item 5, Councilman, there's a request to make the following announcement. We have just received a letter from the Department of Building and Safety, and that letter is available for the public for their viewing on the Brown Act board in Chambers, if anybody's interested.
All right, so we have staff on this item.
For item 6, Councilman, that is an appeal and a report from City Planning. That appeal relates to the adequacy of the category of the environmental clearance. It's for a conditional use for the sale and dispensing of alcohol beverages for on-site consumption for the project located in CD 14, and it includes a hotel.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, council members. Fernando Tovar, zoning administrator on this case for the record. Council members, this item was continued from January 14, and when I appeared before you on January 14, I summarized the appeal points before you, and I provided a thorough and detailed response concerning the appeal points. And in the interest of time, I'm not going to repeat my presentation, which is already in the record, but I just want to recap what happened at the last Plum Committee meeting and where we're at now. If you recall, the crux of the issue is that the subject site abuts a substandard alley, and the appellant, who owns the property across the alley, is proposing a mixed-use development across the alley from the subject site, and the appellant's project will be required to widen the alley pursuant to Section 1705 of the Division of Land Regulations. Meanwhile, the proposed project on the subject site is not required to widen the alley, and the appellant seeks to have the project on the subject site widen the alley along the entire alley frontage. During my January 14 presentation, I explained that in the absence of an essential nexus and rough proportionality to a project impact, I did not have the authority to impose such a requirement on the project, that is, to widen the alley. At the conclusion of my presentation, I made myself available for questions, and I recommended that the committee deny the appeal. After my presentation, the committee took testimony from the appellant's attorney and then from the applicant's attorney. During the applicant's presentation, Mr. Gaines stated that the project had been revised to provide a 4-foot setback on the ground floor of the building along the alley's frontage, which would provide a greater clearance in the alley, effectively the same as widening the alley. Mr. Gaines noted that the plans reflecting this change had been submitted for plan check. At the conclusion of testimony from both sides, the committee did not deliberate. The committee did not have any questions, either for staff, for the applicant, or for the appellant, and no direction or guidance was provided to staff. During the intervening time, in consultation with staff from CD14 and CD8, the applicant filed an application for a miscellaneous permit clearance, seeking a determination from myself as a decision maker to determine that the revised plans remain consistent with the approved Exhibit A of the underlying case, ZA 2018-3288 CUB-SPR, which is not before the committee. The purpose of this application was to memorialize and document the changes to the plans reflecting the 4-foot setback along the alley. On February 3rd, 2020, the applicant paid fees and filed the referenced application together with the revised plans, which consisted of an updated site plan, which reflects a variable 4 to 5 foot setback on the ground floor for the entire length of the alley, and as well as a revised building section that shows the 20-foot high clearance between the grade of the alley and the second floor for the entire length of the setback, and this would ensure adequate height clearance for commercial trucks within the alley. On February 5th, 2020, I issued a letter of substantial conformance and determined that the revision to the project did not result in any significant changes to the building envelope or to the project scope, and found the revised plans to be in substantial conformance with the previously approved Exhibit A of case ZA 2018-3288. This letter of substantial conformance, together with the revised Exhibit A, has been added to the ZA case file, has been entered into the council file, and the revised plans will be sent to Document Imaging to upload onto the city's PCTS system for permanent documentation. This voluntary revision to the project essentially addresses and responds to the concerns raised by the appellant regarding access and or potential congestion in the alley. To be clear, with or without this change, the project's environmental clearance is adequate, and all technical studies supporting the project's environmental clearance, Class 32 CE, are in the record. That said, with these design changes, any concerns raised regarding the alley's width and circulation have now been addressed. So therefore, I again would like to urge you to deny the appeal and determine that based on the whole of the administrative record, the project is exempt from CEQA pursuant to CEQA guidelines section 15332, and there is no substantial evidence demonstrating that an exception to a categorical exemption pursuant to CEQA guidelines section 15300.2 applies. It's my understanding, I believe that CD14 has deferred to the staff recommendation. And with that, I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your presentation. Do we have a representative for the appellant? 4 minutes and 59 seconds.
Alan Apshes from Loeb & Loeb, representing the appellant in this matter. We appreciate that the applicant for the project has revised their plans to provide a widening of the alley. We have 3 minor requests in connection with that to make sure that we really have a widened alley. First, that we would like that the committee require that the project be developed in accordance with the revised Exhibit A that's attached to Mr. Tovar's letter. That's the February 5th, 2020 letter of substantial conformance. Second, the plans currently show a bike rack in the setback area. We would request that the committee prohibit bike parking racks within the 4-foot setback. And third, we'd request that the committee prohibit parking, loading, and the storage of goods within the 4-foot setback area. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Do we have a representative of the applicant?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, honorable members. Fred Gaines of Gaines & Stacy on behalf of the applicant. We agree and concur with the changes that have been proposed.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We have a representative of Council District 14.
Committee Chair Sean Cook, CD14. Thank you for your time. Our office also concurs with the amended conditions language.
Thank you. And that language has been submitted for the record?
Yes, CD14 has submitted that.
Thank you, Mr. Mejia. All right. We have 2 public comment speakers, Claudia Meyer and Stephane. Going once, twice, 3 times. We'll conclude that these folks have left. All right, I'll move that we deny the appeal filed by David Taban of Frontier Holdings West, LLC, and Main Fund Associates, LLC, and thereby sustain the zoning administrator's approval of the conditional use permit and site plan review with the revised Exhibit A for construction of a 139-room hotel with a ground floor bar and restaurant for the property located at 1140 South Broadway,
Along with the CD 14 technical.
and including the amendments as submitted by Council District 14.
Yes, and if it's not submitted yet, that they make sure they submit that letter to the file to the clerk.
All right, can we confirm that it's been submitted to the clerk?
Or it's en route, I believe.
I'll have to check the file, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Cook is here.
Mr. Cook, can you read it into the record, and then that way we have it?
Absolutely. My apologies,
Thank you so much.
committee members. We were trying to resolve this in a timely manner here prior to the meeting, and so apologize for not being fully prepared. The language is as follows. Number 1, require that the project be developed in accordance with revised Exhibit A, attached to the Associate Zoning Administrator's February 5th, 2020 letter of substantial conformance. Number 2, prohibit bike parking racks within the 4-foot setback area as shown on revised Exhibit A. And number 3, prohibit parking, loading, and the storage of goods within the 4-foot setback area shown on revised Exhibit A. That's as follows.
Thank you. So the amendment's been read into the record. It's been seconded by Mr. Blumenfield.
Yes,
Without objection, that'll be the order.
and also, Councilman, to emphasize the approval of the categorical exemption, and that the project has been determined to be exempt.
Excellent. We will make such an emphasis. All right. It's been moved and seconded. Without objection, that'll be the order. Can you confirm, Mr. Mejia, that this concludes our business for today?
Councilman, this concludes our business for today.
We are adjourned.